Welcome to Garden Wise Adventures. My name is Malie, and today it is the end of December, and it's time again for another video in What's Blooming in my Waterwise Garden series. Now, being December, there shouldn't be a lot blooming, and there really isn't. But it's a time of hope, it's a time of excitement for me, because once it hits January, my outlook is to look at things as on its way towards spring. Spring is finally on its way, it's finally coming, so it's a time of hope. So let's go through my garden really quick. Look at what's blooming, look what's going to bloom, and look ahead to the future. The other thing that I would love to do is go through month by month and give you a quick update of what my garden looked like this past year. Talk a little bit about what we're planning on for this next year. So once again, we're going to start on the south border of my property. And we're going to look at what's going on for winter interest, because we have some that are still winter interest, especially my very, very favorite weeping blue spruce. And then talk about a little bit about what we're planning for this year. Now, this side of my garden right here is in its 5th year. This spring is going to be its 5th spring. And things have really filled in beautifully. I'm not planning on a lot of changes. We've really planted this out. So I think what's going to be happening with this border is going to be the continual round of little tweaks and changes that happens with every garden that makes everything so exciting. Now, the things that I'm really looking forward to is, number one, to see how my chaste tree does this year. Last year, it died to the ground. You can see the old stump and where all the new branches came off. I was really excited to figure out that a chaste tree will grow back from the roots if it dies to the ground. I'm hoping that doesn't happen this year. This tree, on its normal height, can get up to 12 feet tall, and that was kind of the height that I was hoping for on this one. But we'll see what happens, and we will know that it will eventually recover if it dies to the ground. The other thing that I'm excited about is my very, very cute little Golden Falls redbud. It's finally coming into its own. We're going to get a really, really good bloom this year. This year I think we're going to be able to prune out some of these little branches on the inside. I'm going to wait until February or March to start pruning on it. But we're going to take some of those branches on the inside out of it. So this time of year is a great time of year to look at your property and kind of figure out what needs to happen in the spring so you can have a great year. Now, this cute little hydrangea, last year was not the best year. The flowers really reduced in size, and I think that it was because of fertilizer. So one thing that I'm looking forward to this year is really amping up the fertilizer on my hydrangeas and seeing if we can get them to increase in size and have the flowers increase in size. We've got the watering down. The placement seems to be good. We're just going to look at the fertilizing now. Another thing that I'm looking forward to is this is my hardy pistachio. I live in Utah, zone 6/7. This is a hardy pistachio, and I'll link a video up above that talks about where it came from. And we're getting closer and closer to the point where it may actually bloom for us, and then we're going to be able to figure out if we have a male or female and then work forward from there. Pistachios need a pollinator, and I know there are other people in the area growing the same pistachio tree from the same seeds, and we can figure out if they have the opposite of what I'm looking for, and maybe we can learn how to do some grafting so we can possibly get nuts off this tree. The other thing that I'm looking forward to is my figs for this coming year. See how they do. Every year is a little different. We have a Black Mission fig right here. It's its first year outside over the winter. We're going to see how it survives in its covering. We've got it well covered and protected, and hopefully it does well in the spring. The other thing that I'm hoping for is popping up right now in December. These are my little daffodils, my earliest daffodils starting to pop their heads up. I'm not worried. They do this every year, but I'm excited for the color. So last year the daffodils were fantastic, and this year I'm fully expecting them to be even better. Now, this is my hens and chicks and sedum border, and I love the color that the sedums, this is an Angelina sedum. Then we have a blue spruce sedum over here. They have not died to the ground, even though we've hit the low teens, and they're doing really well. We'll just see what happens when we hit the single digits like we do every year. We just haven't had that quite happen yet. We've got some nice color on the hens and chicks, and we've got some blue muscari, or the grape hyacinths, that are going to be ready to bloom next spring. Now, this is my landscape here. The grasses give a lot of the texture and winter interest. along with my partridge feather. Now the partridge feather will stay looking like this all winter long, even when it gets really cold. We'll groom them up a little bit in the spring, take out any of the dead, and they should be fine. Now right here is the last of the blooms on my penstemon. And if you look right down here, we've got another little bud. Let me show you what these looked like about a week ago, even through teens, uncovered. So this is a rock candy penstemon, and it seems to be evergreen year-round and will bloom as long as it's able. And then another little regular bloomer for most of the winter, at least until it gets into the single digits, are my Johnny Jump Ups, and then they will come right back in the spring and bloom again for me. So I love having their beautiful little faces in the winter weather. We've still got some snapdragon blooms, but they are kind of getting worse for wear. The cold and the drought in this back corner is taking its toll on them. We've still got color on the chard, the Swiss chard, and it's probably going to be time here shortly to pull out this kale. It's well on its way out. Now this is another plant that I'm excited to see how it does next year. This is going to be its second year. This is a box honeysuckle. It's evergreen over the winter. Last winter, deer ate it all the way to the ground, and I didn't know if it was coming back, but it did come back. And I'm hoping next year it takes off a little bit. These should get 3 by 3, and they have a beautiful color to them. Another evergreen plant over the winter is my germander. Got a little bit of the seed heads still there. But these stay evergreen over the winter. The deer did also eat these last year, but they came back beautifully. The foxley thyme also stays evergreen, and I've really been enjoying that with its variegation. As does the pine leaf penstemon. These are quickly becoming some of my very favorite plants. They are gorgeous. They flower all summer long, all spring long, and then they're evergreen in the winter. Beautiful, beautiful plants. Very hardy, extremely drought tolerant, and not a lot of work. The snowy head crushed my Mexican feathergrass, but it's still a beautiful accent in the winter. I absolutely love Mexican feathergrass, and this will be cut back in the spring so we can have fresh new growth. Lavenders here, especially when the winters are relatively mild. By mild, I mean they don't get below the single digits. The lavender will stay evergreen. And these give just a really nice accent through the winter. Another one that I'm getting excited for and waiting for are my hellebore. These are 2 new ones. They actually dried out, and I'm going to need to water these again here really shortly. These are brand new. Were planted this fall. But they bloom early spring. They're supposedly one of the first flowers to bloom. Over here, this one was planted last spring, and you can see the new growth on it. So we've got new growth coming in, and we may get flower buds here forming. So this one right here and this one right here were the ones planted last spring, and this is another new one. Now this one has not dried out because it's more exposed to the storms, so it's had a lot better growth. We've got some crocus leaves that have emerged a little bit early. They will go back to sleep here, and they won't bloom until spring. A lot of times if we have warm weather, they will emerge a little earlier than you think they should, but they'll be fine, even if it gets below 0. Then we have my beautiful 9-barks. I absolutely love the texture of the bark of the 9-barks. They peel naturally and reveal all these different colors. So that's beautiful to look at over the winter. Now we can fully see the structure and how crowded my weeping cherry is. I absolutely need to come in here in the spring, and I need to make this my #1 priority to untangle the mass out of here. Usually I have this pruned out really cleanly every spring, but the last 3 or 4 years, as I've been putting together my front yard, this has taken back seat, and we can see how horrible it's turned out. It's still alive, we're still getting new growth, but it really, really needs to be thinned out so it can breathe. Another thing I'm looking forward to is seeing how my pomegranate does. This is a hardy pomegranate. We have this area exposed to see how it does over the winter being exposed, and then we have the rest wrapped in burlap. This is going to be its 3rd year. This spring will start its 3rd year. And supposedly in our area, these Russian hardy pomegranates, this one's a Slovatsky, supposedly once they hit the 3rd year, they don't need to be covered anymore. You get mature wood and they manage the frost a lot better. So we're going to see how it does, and I'm hoping for fruit this year in its 3rd year. We'll see, but we've still got nice flexible branches. They haven't died yet, and I'm really excited about that. You can also see the buds getting ready for spring on my hazelnuts. It's going to be their 3rd year also, so I'm expecting a lot of really good new growth off of these. I haven't decided if I'm going to let them bush out like they like to do or just have them on a single stem. We've got some new growth down at the bottom that I may need to prune out for the spring. We'll see what I think and see what I decide to do with these. Let them be a shrub or have them be a tree. Now this is right here is my little pawpaw. And as I'm looking at it, I'm seeing signs that we may get flower buds on these. I'm seeing what looks like the start of flower buds. Okay, there we go. I'm seeing signs of what are going to be flower buds. So this is going to be the 1st year this little sunflower pawpaw has flowered. And then it can become a pollinator for my Davis pawpaw right here. Now my Davis pawpaw has flowered and fruited for the last several years. But I think I would get a lot more fruit if we could have a pollinator for it. You can see the little flower buds that are getting ready to burst forth in the spring on this one too. So this is something else to really look forward to. Another one that's been really surprising to me is this is a little poppy. I have not grown poppies. It's an oriental poppy. This is only my 2nd year growing oriental poppies, and I had no idea that they were evergreen over the winter. It'll be interesting to see how they handle the lower temperatures that are coming, see if they stay evergreen, but I'm excitedly waiting poppies. These are orange oriental poppies. I'm excited to wait for them for next spring. So even though winter has only been here for a few days, I'm excitedly awaiting spring. To me, it feels like it's right around the corner. We can see the signs of it coming, and it gives hope to the deep cold of winter. Now, before we close this video, let's take you inside and let me show you one other thing that helps me get through the cold, dark winters. Now, when it's too cold and wet to be outside, I do have my indoor garden that I've created where I can come in, mess with plants, harvest vegetables, smell the beautiful flowers on my citrus, and think about next summer. So this has become a beautiful oasis for me. We've got a lot growing in here. Now I do have a playlist that I'll link above that talks about my indoor gardens, how I do it, and what you can do so that you can have an indoor oasis yourself. Now that we've looked at what's happening now and talked about the future, let's look through what happened this last year and show you month by month how my garden woke up, looked beautiful, and then went back to bed for the winter. And I would love to hear what you are looking forward to this coming spring. What is your favorite thing that is coming? And hopefully this video has been helpful for you. If it's been helpful, I hope you like, subscribe, share it with your friends, and go have a wonderful garden adventure.